Okay, so it's about 10 o'clock at night. My day job's done for the day. My kids are finally asleep, and my wife's in bed. And this is finally the time where I usually get to do some writing. So what can kill me when I finally get this time is if I got writer's block. If I'm not feeling it, if nothing's flowing. So for this episode of Comic Book Storytellers, that's what I'm asking the pros, the guys who do this for a living, the guys who have deadlines of their own, and who have mortgage and bills to pay just like you and me. And also want to thank my day job, which is where I'm at right now, for the resources to put this together, and also Cloud9 Comics. They have a ton of digital downloads for free. Please check them out. You can also see my 2 books there, The Field on the Edge of the Woods and Star and Stripes. Thanks for watching. Hope you like this episode.
All right, so the question is, how do you get through artist block?
Oh yeah, some days are just brutal.
All the time, I would say average once a month.
For me, generally, I'll know if I'm not feeling it pretty early.
You know, you have a life out there, you know, you have problems, family sick, or you have, you know, issues, whatever.
Also, you're not always in the mood. I mean, you can't always just crank out the best drawing ever.
I never get artist block, but that's because there's a trick not to get it.
When I work, I think the stuff out pretty much completely before I ever approach writing it or drawing it. I spend most of my, developmental time is just sitting there thinking about it.
Where artists get stuck is they're trying to beat a dead horse.
Writer's block is not, I can't think of ideas. Writer's block is your instincts and your subconscious holding you back because you've gone some wrong direction in your story.
So you start the picture with, I'm going to do a fall picture with leaves, and as you're working on the picture, you realize that, this is not working. I should have put it in the snow. It would have been a lot more powerful.
You made some weird choice that doesn't fit the characters, or you tried to force the story in a direction it's not naturally supposed to go. And that's, to me, what I find, that's writer's block. And it's a good thing. It's keeping you from continuing to build onto it.
Just take 10 seconds, take 20 seconds, do a number of sketches, look at the sketches, like do 5 sketches, look at the 5 sketches, pick the best one of the 5, and work on that one.
Go back to the last place in the story that it really worked, that you really felt like it was clicking, and try anything. You got nothing to lose. Go left instead of going right. Have a character suddenly enter, have a character suddenly leave, have some surprising thing happen.
The way I usually deal with that is just keep going until something breaks loose. Just keep working on sketches and something, turning things around, trying it different ways.
Anything to make it different for you, but you'll probably find some new way of plowing through the story, and you'll find some new way of looking at it that you never thought of before.
When you make the right choice, when you make the right selection, the pictures speak themselves.
I've been reading on writing, I think, the Stephen King's book. And there's a part where he talks about, writing block. That's when he said, you got to be prepared with a toolbox.
You fall back on your old tricks. Whatever you can do to get through that page, whatever you can do to get through that day or that deadline or that 24-hour period or that 48-hour period that you've got to stay up and do your work and you don't like it, it's okay. You'll get another chance to do a masterpiece later on.
And those days are the days that I take my toolbox off the shelf, and I work with that.
As an artist, I can still draw very stiffly when I'm uninspired.
There's a lot of different steps in just completing a finished page. So depending on what I'm in the mood for, am I feeling really creative? Do I feel like I want to do sketching and breakdowns? If I get sick of that or I'm not in the mood, then I'll just do my finishing pencils and I'll do my tight rendering where I can kind of turn my brain off a bit and go in and draw those crazy background perspectives or a whole row of tanks or whatever it is,
I realized after doing multiple covers that I'm repeating myself, and then that's the time when I feel like that I fall into a depression, because again, you want to challenge yourself.
As for like ingenious ideas for covers, really you need to sleep on it, and you need to take a walk. Wait for it to happen in the shower,
Usually I like to put part of the story on the cover, so that way every cover is unique.
I start work early in the morning, like 6. So if by 9 I know that it's one of those days, I just won't do anything. because it hurts too much to spend the whole day doing something and then throw it away.
And if I'm not getting anywhere, I get up and go watch a ball game for a little while or something.
Especially when I'm playing in Photoshop. Sometimes what is in my head, I've got to figure out how to use the technology to make it work.
So I'll just say, okay, it's not working today. I'll go walk my dog.
You know, I'll listen to music. I get inspired by music.
Try to watch movie or read books or just do something totally different.
Sometimes I just get up and I go walk around the block while I think about what it is I'm trying to get, you know, and I run it through my head. Damned if I don't come back, sit down, and it's done.
Sometimes when I go back and I have a totally different perspective, you kind of refresh yourself.
So again, thinking of your work as your own small business, the days I'm just not feeling it, you know, I'll do all my paperwork, my invoicing that day. I'll get reference for the next issue that day. You know, the busy work that doesn't take a creative mind to take care of.
Whenever I get bills to pay or I've got household chores to do, everything gets put off until the end of the book. So I'll just take it in and do that, rather than try to force it. I've found that it's much easier to call it quits early on and then come back the next day fresh.
You have to really know yourself and be able to be very objective about your work process. You need to know when you're the most creative, you know, what time of day works best for you. I generally work at night. That's when I'm just mentally active, creative. I found that out about myself, and so I built my work schedule around that. So it's really being aware of your process, being aware of when you're the most productive and taking advantage of that.
Thanks for watching. That's another episode of Comic Book Storytellers. One of my favorite comments that I heard but didn't make it into this episode, I asked Terry Moore, Strangers in Paradise Echo, and currently Rachel Rising, one of his biggest sources of inspiration or motivation when he has writer's block himself, since he writes and draws his own stuff. And he said his mortgage, because whether he finishes a book or not, every month the bills keep coming. Thought that put a nice, real perspective on everything. Want to thank Cloud9 Comics for sponsoring this so we can keep offering them to you for free. They offer a ton of free downloads and some of the best indie books globally. So if you get a chance, please check them out. Thanks for watching. Remember, you can find us 3 different ways on Facebook. So if you get a chance, drop us a line, let us know what you think. More to come.